Pindi tunapowasha vifaa vyetu, tunapata fursa ya kutangamana na wasikilizaji wetu.
Karibu sana thĩinĩ wa tabarĩra ya Rwĩga.
Tunapeperusha utangazaji uliobobea katika habari,
nĩ ũndũ wa macio na mangĩ maingĩ,
burudani,
ni harĩa tũkoragwo tũkĩigua nyĩmbo mwaki nyĩmbo hot,
na hamasisho la kiroho. Usiachwe nyuma. Jiunge nasi kwa safari ya kufana katika 99.5 FM. Shoro FM.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with your music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, rather than talent.
Usikie uchungu sana.
Sana. Kitu kwa inanuma hadi sasa hivi. Kwa mwishowe ni kuuma. Sasa ile joy iko hivi. Kila time unataka tuje kuna.
Unaje kuna.
That is Owino. Na kuna hope. Kama ya Komi imetolewa, pia ya Owino itatolewa. Pia Owino hope. Utamwambiaje?
Owino tamwambia asikufe moyo. Acha mimi nilikuwa na hizo na Mungu akanionekania. Asinde kuiombea pia, tukimwombea na hivyo Mungu atamuonekania.
Shukisha msee.
Hapa hakuna stage.
Wala shukisha ama mimi tapiga nduru na pesa yako msilibi.
Mimi sitaki kisirani. Shuka.
Thank you.
Shuka.
Poleni. Wacha nipigia mtu wangu wa insurance akuje washughulikie.
Mtasign hizi forms. In a few weeks time mtakuwa mmepata fidia yenu. Poleni sana.
Kwani kampuni ya bima ilifunga?
Unataka kusema hatutapata pesa?
Wewe na hizo tu unaangalia namna hiyo.
Policyholders Compensation Fund PCF ilibuniwa ili kufidia wadai wa kampuni ya bima ambayo imewekwa katika usimamizi wa kisheria au leseni yake imebatilishwa. Iwapo umejaza claim forms na insurance ikakubali kulipa lakini ikafungwa, tembelea tovuti ya www.pcf.go.ke kisha ufuate taratibu za kujaza claim na utasaidika kupata fidia. Policyholders Compensation Fund, dhamana ya bima yako.
Good evening, welcome to Prime Edition. I am Cynthia Nyamai. Now the whole world is excited. We have been giving you a live feed from the Vatican as we have a new Pope, and in studio I do have Father Kamau Mbugwa, who will be taking us through his journey from Chicago, Peru, and now the Vatican. And also in sports we have Karen Kibet with all the action for you, but first let's have the highlights. Cometh a new Pope. White smoke billows from the Sistine Chapel, signaling conclave's election of the new leader of 1.4 billion Catholics worldwide. The name is out. President Ruto nominates Erastus Edung as the new chairperson of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. And turning all stones, ballistic report links a pistol recovered from a suspect to the bullets that killed Kasipul MP Ongondo Were, as 5 more suspects are arraigned in connection with the murder. Good evening. Our sign language interpreter is Lensa Odingo. And remember, we would love to hear from you, even in the celebration mood. You can send us your questions or even suggestions on all our social media pages. That's KBC Channel 1 on Facebook, Twitter, and also on Instagram. And you could also send me a message on Cynthia Nyamai. Now, tonight we did take you live earlier on from the Vatican as the announcement came up. And what do we know about the new Pope? Well, he's the first Pope from the US. We will be speaking a little bit about his journey from Chicago and also Peru and now even to the Vatican. I will be telling you a little bit about his name and what that name means, why he probably chose that name, and also we will be telling you what does it mean for Africa and what are likely some of the areas that we will see him interested in and what are the expectations of the Catholic Church. Now in studio I am joined by Father Kamau Mbugua, who will be telling us more about it. People have been sending us messages. Everyone is so excited about it and people just want to know more about the new Pope, and we do have the details for you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
What is the mood like? We saw him speak for the first time. The crowd was so excited. We've been getting so many messages about the news. We even had to call you last minute. But what is the mood like, even for you, for Kenyans, and from what you've heard from people so far?
Wow, since the cardinals entered in conclave last on 7th, everybody has been expecting. We didn't know that it will come that soon.
Yes.
Because as we have been waiting, this is a very defining moment in the history of Catholic Church.
Yes.
Whereby we have a Pope who was dear to many.
Yes.
And he has just gone. And some people are asking, what kind of pontificate are we going to expect?
Yes.
And knowing that this time we had a lot of cardinals who have come in that were elected by Pope Francis, quite a number of them.
Including the current one.
Including the current one. So we were really not sure how things will happen.
Yes.
And it is God's grace that now we have a Pope. And a Pope who is a religious, an Augustinian for that matter.
Yes.
So it is very, the whole church is celebrating. The Holy Spirit has spoken.
Yes.
And we are ready to give our loyalty to the new Pope.
Yes. You've mentioned, and a lot of times people expect, I remember even for Pope Francis, it took a long time, and we just wait for the smoke. But this took a very short time. What does it mean?
I think the Holy Spirit is at work.
Yes.
And again, if you look at the choice that he has given us, it's a choice that is very close to Francis, having experienced the same Latin American theology. So it is, we can say that this is the Holy Spirit at work.
Yes, and they must be having a lot in common. Both of them having served, he was in Peru, both of them having served in the same areas and seem like same also interests. What are some of the other things they have in common?
Of course, they have, according to what we can see now, is that they have several things. Because Pope Francis brought the church to listen to the people in the periphery.
Yes.
And it was at the heart of St. Francis, for Francis, was the majority of the poor. And looking at the new pope that has been elected, taking the name of Leo, we know that Leo XIII was the first pope to write an encyclical that became an opening of the church to the society. So it is very, they have several things in common, and new aspect that we can see in the church.
Yes.
Yeah.
So are we likely to see a very big difference between the two, or he's likely to just continue with the work of Pope Francis?
Of course, he will not be exactly like Pope Francis, but of course we see a lot of similarity with what Pope Francis had. Because as I have said, opening a new chapter to listening to the society and a dialogue to the society and listening to what especially the poor are saying to the church, because we know that the church is made up for majority people who are poor, and wishing to see that they have been listened to.
Yes. So what does this mean for Africa? We were hoping that we would have a pope from Ghana, but there's still a lot of excitement in Africa.
Oh yes, I was here last time when we were burying Pope Francis, and the same question was given to me, that are we expecting an African pope? And my answer was, and it still is, it does not matter where the pope comes from. What is important is how open the person reads the church to listen to the will of God, and bringing the church to listen to the gospel of Christ. Yes.
But it is making it news that this is the first time we have a pope from America.
Of course, that is true. That in the history of the church, we have never had a pope from America. And of course, many people see America as the world of progressive, a lot of liberal minds. Liberal minds. But I don't think, because the church is led by the Holy Spirit.
That's true.
This is the church that has, over the centuries, that it has listened to the will of God over the century. So I don't think having come from a liberal society will not change much. In terms of the doctrines of the church, in terms of the stand of the church.
But why are you surprised, and why also a lot of people surprised that the Pope is coming from the U.S.?
Of course, because, you know, of the recent past, we have had several popes coming outside, outside of Italy and outside of Europe. Now this is the second pope which is coming outside of Europe, and a pope who has a very close link to, as I have said, to Southern Bloc, Southern Hemisphere. And of course, again, another very important aspect, he is another religious pope. Because Pope Francis was a Jesuit, a religious, and now we have an Augustinian priest. So it is very amazing how the Holy Spirit is working.
And just looking at even his work in Peru and in his interests, especially when it comes to social issues, what do you think now will be very close to his heart, and what areas will be of priority to him?
Yeah, of course, as we have said, having chosen the name of Leo XIII, probably it's an indication, because as we said, Pope Leo began one of the most celebrated document, Rerum Novarum, which is beginning of new things. Probably this is something that is in the heart of Leo, the new Leo, that he wants to bring in a new in the church, especially listening to the society.
And what is the significance of his choice of Italian and Spanish languages in his speech instead of his native English?
Of course, we know the church is in the headquarter of the church is in Italy.
Yes.
So then the language of the church, apart from Latin, second language of the church is Italian. And of course, having come from Peru, which is a country that speaks Spanish, then that we expected that.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And so what are the next steps? Now we have a pope, it's been announced to the world.
Yes.
Yes.
Of course, now the next step is what we expect is that very soon the new pope is going to kind of give us his kind of what he expects of the church. And probably very soon he will issue his first encyclical,
yes,
telling the world in which direction
yes,
that we are going through. And I'm hoping and I'm praying the synodality that was begun by Pope Francis will become at the heart
yes,
of the church.
yes,
Because that is whereby the church chooses to listen to people. Synodality means dialogue, talking together.
Yes.
So it is the church which is ready to listen and dialogue with the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And when is he then expected to begin his trips around the world?
Of course, now that will depend on him and how much he has on his table, because, you know, the Pope Francis was sick for some time.
Yes.
And of course, there must be several things
yes,
that he had to, several meetings that he has to carry out, and a lot of assignment here and there, all that Pope was not able to do for his last few days
yes,
when he was sick.
Yes.
Yeah.
How will the churches in Kenya celebrate on Sunday? What is Sunday going to look like?
Of course, there is a jovial mood,
yes,
and I expect that every church that will also come up. That now we have a new pope, and even the liturgy of the Eucharist,
yes,
where we read, because we were getting confused. Now, because always in the Eucharistic prayer, we always mention the pope. And for the few days, we have not been able to mention that. So I'm sure the priests, as they mention Leo 14th, they will be very happy.
Yes.
Yes.
We are going to take our first break. I still have a few questions for you, and a few people have sent in questions. That and much more after the break.
Je, umewahi kuwa na deni ya KRA? Basi usiwe na shaka. KRA wakishirikiana na KBC wamekuandalia roadshow murwa kabisa. Jiunge nasi tukufahamishe kuhusu KRA Tax Amnesty Program na jinsi utakavyoweza kusamehewa adhabu na riba na KRA. Pia tutakuwa tunakusaidia kujaza fomu za kodi za mwaka 2024 na kukusaidia na huduma za KRA kwa mtaa wako. Ijumaa tarehe 9 mwezi Mei tutakuwa maeneo ya Kiambu Town, Githunguri, Ruaka, Banana, Wangige, Kikuyu na tumalizie Limuru Town. Kisha Jumamosi tarehe 10 mwezi Mei tutazuru maeneo ya Ruiru, Kimbo, Kenyatta Road, Juja, Weteithie, Jomoko, Gatitu, Thika Town, Engen, Makongeni na Kisii Estate. KRA, tulipe ushuru tujitegemee.
They say the art without art would just be get it? We circumnavigate the globe and traverse the local scene to bring you art and culture at their very best. From fine art, culinary art, performing arts, and even cultural events, you name it, and we have got you covered. My name is Kevin Kasioki, and I will be serving you this and much, much more each and every Friday at 8 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back. In studio we have Father Kamau. We have been celebrating as we have a new Pope, and he's telling us a little bit about the new Pope, and even how did they make that decision? And that's the first question. What does it take to become a Pope? We know in our elections we talk about a majority, and it's also the same. Take us through that process.
Of course, as we saw last week, when they have the last celebration of Mass, invoking the Holy Spirit, all the cardinals, many of the cardinals were there, and from after the invoking of the Holy Spirit, after the litany of all saints, then the cardinals who are to elect the new Pope were escorted up to the conclave.
Yes.
Conclave means a house that is locked. So conclave in Italian.
Yes.
So then they entered in, and there, as we heard, they were not supposed to communicate with anybody. Their gadget, they had no gadget, and the whole communication with the outside world was cut.
Yes.
So it is only them and the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
And of course, according to the tradition, the election of the Pope is done twice in a day.
Yes.
So 2 ballots in the morning and 2 ballots in the afternoon. So then if the 2 ballots in the morning and 2 ballots in the afternoon do not have the majority, to that majority, then we have the black smoke. Last night, we saw a black smoke coming from System Chapel. And then to this morning, they had two ballots, and again probably 2 ballots in the afternoon. Or probably in the morning, they had already some indication. And probably in the evening, in the afternoon, they had another 2 ballots. And that is when we saw a white smoke. That means the Holy Spirit has spoken. That means the cardinals, elected cardinals, have agreed on the new Pope.
Yes. I was just asking that because for me it's quite impressive that it happened in such a short time, and we just wanted people to also really understand what it takes, and that for it to happen in such a short time with little stalemate, that was quite a miracle.
Yeah, of course, in Catholic Church there is no campaign.
Yes.
So we didn't have any campaign that goes in beyond, before that.
Yes.
What happened is that in the 9 days of prayer, each cardinal will tell about his expectation of the church. And we saw that throughout the 7 days, that everyone will come and celebrate Mass, explain what he expects of the church, where the direction that he thinks the church will need to move. And probably even from there, those listening, the cardinals who are listening, probably they were taking notes, especially the elected cardinals. They were taking notes. And probably with that in mind, they already have in mind what they expected the church to be. And probably together with the Holy Spirit, probably they saw that Pope Leo XIV is the choice.
Yes. Wow. And what does it mean now for the youth? You know a little bit about his history. And now these days we see a lot of young people even in the church and wanting to be seen, especially from last year with everything that happened in Kenya. So what does this mean for the youth?
Of course, I think the time has come, not only the church, everybody to listen to the youth. Because the time of the youth is now. We are no longer the time when we say that youth are leaders of tomorrow. Now it is their own time. And with the technology that it's going, it has shown that without listening to the youth, probably every society needs to re-evaluate their stand. And even the church. I think Pope Francis had started something very close to the youth by celebrating yearly a Mass for the youth, moving from one state to the, from one country to the other, correcting all the youth and listening to them. And I think this is a lesson to all the societies, including Kenya. Yes.
And ever since you came into studio, you've been so excited about the choice and the announcement. Why are you so excited about this decision?
I am excited in a way because, first of all, as we have said, it is something to see that we produce one of the Pope from America. That is excitement itself. The second one is that we have gotten another Pope who is a religious.
Yes.
And I, being a religious, a Franciscan Capuchin, it's a plus on the religious life. Because religious life has always been the prophetic voice within the church.
Yes. Thank you so much, Father, for joining us. Someone was actually sharing that he was actually here in Kenya last year. We will be sharing more details on that. But let me first take you to the Vatican. Just get to see for yourself the mood that is there tonight.
Thursday, May 8th, few minutes after 7 p.m. White smoke for Mata Bianca billowed from the Sistine Chapel's chimney, signaling to the world that the 267th Pope has been determined. Pope Leo XIV is the new leader of the Catholic Church. The white smoke prompting waves of cheers in St. Peter's Square. The new Pope, after election, is ushered to the Room of Tears near the Sistine Chapel, where he wears the papal cassock for the first time. Pope Leo XIV was born in Chicago on September 14th, the year 1955, the son of Louis Marius Prevost and Mildred Martinez. He completed his secondary studies at the Minor Seminary of the Order of St. Augustine's in 1973. Prevost earned a Bachelor of Science degree in mathematics at Villanova University in the year 1977. He joined the Order of St. Augustine in September 1977. He took his first vows to the order in September 1978 and his solemn vows in August 1981. The following year, he was awarded a Master of Divinity degree from Catholic Theological Union in Chicago. On November 3rd, the year 2014, Pope Francis appointed Prevost as Apostolic Administrator of the Diocese of Chicago and Tutelate Bishop of Sufar. He received his episcopal consecration on December 12th, the year 2014, at St. Mary's Cathedral in Chicago. On September 26th, the year 2015, he was named Bishop of Chicago. The new Pope has been elected after 3 ballots. The longest conclave in history was almost 3 years. When Pope Gregory X was elected. Pope Gregory X was 184th Pope in the Catholic history. The shortest lasted just 10 hours and ended with the election of Pope Julius II, who was the 216th in the year 1503. Michael Mondiga for Prime Edition.
The Jomo Kenyatta International Airport law courts will this Friday, 9th May 2025, rule on whether it has jurisdiction to hear a miscellaneous application by 5 suspects arrested in connection with the death of Kasipul Member of Parliament Charles Ongondo Were. This after defense lawyers challenged the court's proximity and jurisdiction to hear the matter as presented by the Office of the Directorate of Public Prosecution. The move comes even as the National Police Service ballistic reports have linked a pistol recovered from a suspect to the bullets that killed the late legislator.
Jomo Kenyatta International Airport locals Thursday was a beehive of activity. The Office of the Directorate of Public Prosecution, led by prosecuting Kanzo Gekoe Gishoe and Evelyn Ononga, failed to present businessman Philip Aroko, who surrendered at Gigiri Police Station Wednesday night.
There is something wrong somewhere. Whether they are going to release him or not, bring him to court. That is the reason. and that this court can make that decision.
Offense happened in Nairobi, and based on that, that's what my colleagues have laid to you, that this court, therefore, lacks jurisdiction.
They produced 5 other suspects, including the late Charles Songondo Were's bodyguard, driver, an employee of Lake Basin Block, and 2 other persons of interest.
A suspect may be arrested far from the place of the incident of the offense. Nothing bars the police from arraigning such a person at the nearest court.
My colleagues are talking from the 2 sides of the mouth. Bring, when they are brought, no, down your tools.
The defense argued that the application filed by the prosecution seeking to detain the suspect for 30 days cannot be heard by JK locals, calling on the magistrate to transfer the matter.
The first respondent, in a sense, feels that this court has been shopped for the purpose of giving orders.
In a rebuttal, the prosecution opposed the objection, stating the application can be heard in any court and that the defense arguments only applies when it's trial of the case.
This is not a trial of inquiry and trial. What has brought the prosecution before you is not a trial.
I'll deliver a ruling on whether this court has jurisdiction or not tomorrow. That will be 9th of May at 10 a.m.
The development comes as the Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja said the investigation saw that the gun that killed the late Kasipul Member of Parliament was recovered from the 2 suspects.
The same firearm has been implicated in 3 separate robbery incidences across Nairobi and Kiambu counties.
So far, 10 suspects are in custody in connection with the murder, where will be buried this Friday, 9th May 2025, at his home in Homa Bay County. With cat and mouse games being played between the prosecuting counsels and the defense lawyers on territorial jurisdictions, the 5 suspects will continue to be the guests of the state until tomorrow, Friday. Ruth Wamboy reporting from JKA Locots.
We will continue to follow up that story for you. President William Ruto has assented to the Persons with Disabilities Bill, a progressive law that guarantees their rights to education, employment, healthcare, political participation, and access to buildings and public spaces. Ruto also signed into law the County Government's Additional Allocation Bill 2025, which provides more funding to counties to promote equitable resource distribution and enhance devolved service delivery.
Thursday morning at State House, Nairobi, President Ruto signed into law the Persons with Disabilities Bill 2025, terming it a progressive legislation that reaffirms the dignity of PWDs in the country and their right to education, healthcare, employment, and political participation.
This framework provides a robust, inclusive framework that provides all the necessary incentives, necessary safeguards to make sure people living with disabilities live their full lives as the rest of society.
Ruto hailed the sponsor of the bill, nominated Senator Crystal Asige, saying its ascension concludes the long journey of repealing PWD Act No. 14 of 2003.
Crystal Asige, congratulations. You have done the best for the people living with disability in Kenya, for the people of Kenya, and for humanity. This law is both progressive in scope and progressive in vision.
The new framework will restructure the National Councils for PWDs as well as reorganize and support caregivers.
Its full promise cannot be realized by the National Council for Persons Living with Disabilities or the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection alone. It will require collective action by all stakeholders. I assure you that the government of Kenya is fully committed to translating the provisions of this law into tangible improvements in the lives and welfare of persons living with disability.
And in a move aimed at strengthening service delivery in the devolved units, President Ruto also signed into law the county government's additional allocations bill to provide increased funding to counties. Doreen Arange for Prime Edition.
The Ministry of Health has urged legislators to fast-track legal entrenchment of the Kenya National Public Health Institute, which was established under a legal notice of 2022 in order to attract financing. The institute, which was launched on Thursday by the Cabinet Secretary for Health, Aden Duale, is expected to strengthen public health security through preventive and promotive healthcare by conducting disease surveillance, health research, policy coordination, and rapid emergency response.
And I am proud to announce the official launch of the Kenya National Public Health Institute, established through a legal notice number 14 of January 18th, 2022.
In line with the government's bottom-up economic transformative agenda, the Kenya National Public Health Institute could be the game changer in enhancing universal coverage through preventive and promotive healthcare, strengthening the national health security.
It provides us with a unified platform to prioritize public health needs, mobilize resources efficiently, build laboratory and workforce capacity, and generate research that will guide our national policies.
KNPHI holds a vital mandate to strengthen and advance public health by serving as a centralized platform for managing and coordinating responses to diseases, outbreak, and public health emergencies from the national level down to counties and communities.
Speaking during the Institute's launch, stakeholders acknowledge its role in addressing weak surveillance and delayed responses to public health threats.
We have seen through painful experiences how global health threats from Ebola to COVID-19 to cholera can rapidly emerge and challenge the resilience of our health systems.
Through KMD, we provide early warning systems, issuance of alerts to health in order to deliver, provide support, especially when we have flooding, when we have droughts. It is the reports that come from the Kenya Meteorological Department that the public health or the Ministry of Health uses.
However, the Institute's sustainability now lies in the hands of members of parliament who have been urged to entrench it into an act.
It is actually now established by a legal notice. You and I know that a legal notice can be changed on Friday. Therefore, I think after it has been, we have established, the biggest thing now is to actually look at how we entrench it legally so that we need an act of parliament.
Its success, Duale reckoned, will require the collaboration of both national and county governments. Kasichana Masha, Prime Edition.
Police in Kakamega County have launched investigations into the brutal murder of a DCI officer attached to Gilgil at his home in Lukwisi village in Matete constituency. He was allegedly hacked to death by unknown assailants, and we have the details on this and other stories in our Crime Watch segment.
The deceased Zebedayo Safari Mbakaya was allegedly hacked to death by unknown assailants just outside his home at night on his way back home. The family has expressed frustration that the killing occurred close to the Matete police station, calling for swift investigations and justice for the fallen officer.
Bila nilomulika tu hapa nikaona mzee wangu amelala hapo chini. Naomba tu mtusaidie tupate usalama hata sisi ambao tumebaki. We feel like our lives are at risk.
Tumefanikiwa kupata one suspect ambaye yako in police custody, anatusaidia na uchunguzi, na kama iko mtu yote ambaye yako na any information ambaye inaweza saidia polisi zaidi, haende Matete kwa DCI apeane hiyo information.
Elsewhere, irate residents from Red Soil area in Mwea East Sub-County, Kirinyaga County, seized donkey meat in a vehicle that was allegedly transporting the carcasses from Embu County. Residents said they were able to intercept the vehicle after it had a tire burst and upon observation found some blood leaking. 2 occupants were arrested.
Watu wameweza kushikwa na gari aina ya G-Touring na ndani ya ile gari kulikuwa na nyama ya punda zaidi ya punda 20 na hao watu waliweza kuchukuliwa na polisi ambao walikuwa wamefika mapema sana, walifika kwa haraka wakaweza kuwaondoa, maana raia walikuwa na ghadhabu, walikuwa wanataka kujiripishia kisasi.
Serikali yetu ya Kirinyaga tusaidieni, kwa sababu hizi nyama inapelekwa wapi? Hizi nyama ikichinjwa hivyo sisi tutaumia kama watu wa punda.
In another incident, a 40-year-old man, Kimanzi Musili, is receiving treatment at Mwingi Level 4 Hospital after he was allegedly shot by the police officer commanding Migwani Police Station.
Naomba serikali ingilie ndiposa nipate haki itendeke juu ya vile nimeumizwa, na pia huyo polisi ningeomba pia achukuliwe hatua ndiposa awe funzo hata kwa wengine.
Nataka kutoa onyo kali kwa askari ambao wanatumia mamlaka vibaya. Tumeshuhudia kijana wetu ambaye amefanywa shooting na askari, na niko na cartridge hapa ambayo huyo kijana karibu apoteze uhai.
Christine Matunda for Prime Edition.
Senators have expressed mixed views on the recently concluded public participation exercise on the Constitution Amendment Bill 2025 that seeks to entrench Senate Oversight Fund and National Government Constituency Development Fund in law. While debating the motion on consolidation of bursary funds for equitable access to education in Kenya, a section of senators led by Okiya Omutata of Busia said anchoring the funds in the Constitution requires a referendum. Others argued that channeling the funds through the NCGDF and the NGAF has created loopholes for corruption and wastage of public funds, making free secondary education.
To entrench these funds into the Constitution, it cannot be done without a referendum, because it is going to alter the structure of the government of Kenya, whereby legislators have been allowed, whereby legislators will be allowed to hold money and execute functions. That alters the Constitution of Kenya, the way it is structured.
In some constituencies, someone will tell you that that member of parliament will only give bursaries to the clan where they belong. And that is literally the lists, that is the expectations that is there from the people. So my thinking is, first of all, the whole idea of bursary is illegal.
This will be a session just to discuss about realities of business, poetry, and how to navigate through life.
I'm an entrepreneur. I have a background in banking. Right now, I am a meat distributor, aka a butcher.
Okay.
Because I'm married to a Nigerian man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not yet adopted a Nigerian accent.
Imagine, no? The only way I could deal with that death was to drink more, party more, like it was havoc.
It's only the Lord who can change people, and the best thing you can do is perpetually invest in prayer. Now I'm looking at your life and I'm like, oh, this girl got a child in campus and still believed in marriage.
Wewe nyamaza, toka.
Huyo ni mwizi wa hiyo kijiji na kila mtu anamjua. Juzi karibu achomwe. Kwa nini unafananisha mimi na wakina
nani?
Au makoa?
Wewe si mtoto wa Shigondi Mako.
Na makoa hapo tunaishi wengi. Si mimi peke yake.
Lakini yeye mbona hakuendea hao wengine? Nimekutambua wewe.
Kukunishonea
nini? Nguo.
Wale wa kuchukua vyombo mzuri.
Auctioneer.
Ndio hiyo auctioneer.
Sasa ucheza wa auctioneer wa kushonea.
Si ndio ulijiibia?
How do you steal from yourself?
Why do you send some means?
Are you listening to yourself?
Of course, why not? Yeah. Why not?
Mimi naweza kuchapa sana wewe. Usifanya.
Welcome back. Now to a story we had shared earlier where Erastus Edang Ethekon has been nominated as the new Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Chairman, succeeding the late Wafula Chebukati. President William Ruto has also named 6 other individuals for appointment as IEBC commissioners, including Registrar of Political Parties Ann Nderito, and also Dr. Nelson Makanda led the selection panel and interviewed 11 candidates for position of chairperson and 105 applicants for positions of commissioners. John Kahiro reports.
2 days after President William Ruto received the IEBC recruitment report from the Dr. Nelson Makanda-led selection panel, the head of state has now forwarded to the National Assembly for vetting the nomination of Erastus Edang Ethekon as the new IEBC chairperson. Ethekon from Turkana County was interviewed for the position of the chairperson alongside 10 other candidates, including former Judiciary Chief Registrar Ann Amadi and former Commission for the Implementation of the Constitution chairperson Charles Nyamai. The 48-year-old human rights lawyer and former Starehe Boys Center alumnus who appeared before the panel on the 25th of March 2025 boasts skills in leadership and conflict resolution.
How would you help reduce the expenditure towards election and make our elections a bit cheaper?
For me, whatever the amount we arrive at, it should be that which is necessary for us to conduct a free, fair, credible, verifiable, transparent elections. So it's about cost optimization.
President Ruto also forwarded to the National Assembly for approval 6 nominees for appointment as IEBC commissioners, namely the Registrar of Political Parties Ann Nderito from Nyandarua County, Moses Alutalala Mukwana from Kakamega County, Mary Karen Sorobit from Uasin County, Hassan Nur Hassan from Mandera County, Francis Othiambo Aduol from Kisumu County, and Fahima Arafat Abdallah from Lamu County. According to the statement from the head of public service, Felix Kosgei, the nominations have been forwarded to the August House for vetting in line with the Constitution. The head of state has further urged the lawmakers to prioritize the approval process, terming the IEBC a cornerstone of democracy and an essential steward of electoral integrity. John Kahiro for Prime Edition.
Welcome back. It's now time for business. Suppliers owed by the government will be paid 149 billion shillings at the start of the next financial year. This is according to National Treasury Principal Secretary Dr. Chris Kiptor, who says the amount is part of the 206 billion shillings cleared for the payment by the Pending Bills Verification Committee.
Bills Verification Committee flagged 264 billion shillings worth of claims for payment for lacking proper documentation. So far, pending bills worth 206 billion shillings have been cleared for settlement, with the National Treasury pledging to pay 149 billion shillings this July.
We have taken about 149 to the budget, this year's budget. And so we expect once Parliament approves, we will be able to, from July, to settle the first amount of pending bills.
To avoid scenarios where pending bills pile to billions of shillings, Dr. Kipto says bidding and awarding of government tenders will be done online starting July this year.
Companies have suffered for lack of payment. They took loans. Some of those loans are not performing. So when we pay, at least non-performing loans will decline. Businesses will begin to resume.
He has pledged to avail funds for tax refunds to improve liquidity in the private sector.
Taxpayer who has given you money
lent to you, and therefore you're now just giving him back a refund. Do we agree? But you're taking it as income and then you're saying it's tax expenditure. Wrong accounting.
Agreed is an area we want to work on because liquidity hell is also not good for business.
Reduction of coupons on government papers is among ways the government plans to implement to increase liquidity and entice banks to increase lending to businesses.
Today I'll be having the treasury bill auction. I know we'll be talking about where we were last week. Treasury bills rate were around 8.5%. Last year, same time, interest rates we were paying 16%.
We worked on the macro indicators. Now we're moving to the micros on the business environment, not only to attract, but to retain the existing businesses.
Dr. Kito said the government is keen on fostering a predictable and investor-friendly regulatory framework. Benson Rioba, reporting for Prime Edition.
Economist Professor XN Iraqi has welcomed proposals in the Finance Bill 2025, noting that it is an indication of the government's commitment to financial discipline, fiscal efficiency, reduction of public resource wastage, and inclusive economic planning. According to Professor Iraqi, the Finance Bill 2025 introduces practical reforms aimed at streamlining tax administration and strengthening accountability in public spending. Move on, where there is a need to adapt a new model that prioritizes people and restores dignity in work without leaving anyone behind to create a sustainable impact. Director of the Institute for Social Transformation at Tangaza University, Dr. Jonas Yokavi, says Africa should embrace a social economic model that offers real solutions to persistent challenges.
Businesses that are capitalistic in nature and mainly driven by profit-making. Social entrepreneurs aims to solve challenges faced in society by identifying gaps and creating solutions. Proponents believe social economy offers an alternative solution that reduces social inequality and creates inclusion by reducing inequality, promoting access to opportunities and fostering a society where everyone can improve their lives.
Challenges that we are all facing today on this continent calls for a new model of economy that puts the people at the center. That's the whole idea.
This includes finding new ways to provide better healthcare, jobs, and quality education and protection of the environment, all while running stable businesses.
Social entrepreneurship is a movement of people who believe strongly that this continent has all the solutions to tackle all the pressing challenges that we have.
African culture, it has always been very collaborative and socially driven. Unfortunately, over the last many years, we have moved towards the Western system of economics. And so we have a lot of capitalism and extractive kind of systems.
This call to action will take center stage next week at Tangaza University in Nairobi during the 8th Annual Africa Conference on Social Entrepreneurship, which is in line with the African Union's 10-year plan to build a social and solidarity economy that is fair, inclusive, and sustainable.
Where we are looking at what are the sustainable approaches to migration, what are the opportunities that migration brings in, and what are the current trends in terms of policies and innovation.
Speaking to key stakeholders from governments to grassroots initiatives on how we can set up a system that has accessible and inclusive financial models that works for the whole continent, but particularly for the youth, women, and people with disabilities.
Young people aged between 18 and 29 years have up to the end of next week to register the National Youth Opportunities towards advancement of project. Fully registered youths will get up to 50,000 shillings in the multi-billion shillings project, which is being implemented by the Micro and Small Enterprise Authority. Wycliffe Okech has the details for you.
Unemployment and underemployment remains a major thorn, especially among people aged below 30 years. Despite various initiatives by both the public and private sectors, close to 40% of young people aged below 30 years are unemployed.
Yeah, this finance is for the youth, and the youth is not just the general youth that we know, it's 18 to 35, it's for 18 to 29, because we want them to start their businesses, the startups. Those people who have not gone to school, and they have, or those who have gone up to Form 4 level.
You are not supposed to be in colleges because you expect to get white-collar jobs somewhere. There is somebody who just wants to go straight into business.
Through a multi-billion shillings from the World Bank, the government is offering grants and business training to young people to help them engage in business initiatives.
And we're encouraging all the youths to be able to go online and apply, because it's no human face is there. It's totally online.
The Nyoto Fund facility offers grants of up to 50,000 shillings and a subsequent loan facility of up to 20 million shillings for social enterprises. This in a bid to encourage entrepreneurial culture among the youth.
Remember, we talked about Nyota and KJET. The KJET is a loan component, it's a credit component that is going to support some of these SMEs who have at least started on the pathway of success, and they just lack a machinery which is slightly expensive and they cannot be able to afford. Then the KJET comes in to bridge the gap.
Women and people living with disabilities are equally encouraged to apply for the 5-year funding program. Applications for the funds closes on the 15th of May 2025. For Channel 1 from Kisumu County, I am Wycliffe Okage.
Unfriendly gender policies remain a major barrier to trade in the East African community. Despite the launch of gender policy in 2018, many women face challenges in conducting some of these implementations. This and more on the story.
Gender barriers remain a major hindrance to trade within the East African community. In 2018, the bloc launched the gender policy to ensure the rights of women and men, boys and girls are promoted, protected and realized on an equal basis. The policy further sought to strengthen the mainstreaming of gender concerns in the planning and budgetary processes of all sectors in the EAC organs, institutions and partner states. 7 years later, women traders face harassment, threats and violence, including sexual violence and theft, especially at cross-borderings and along transport routes.
We want to have a roadmap. One of the key deliverables of this meeting is to come up with a roadmap on how to address their challenges, but also we want to establish a working group where we can be able to actively engage them even in upcoming engagements, but also to have a structured dialogue with them.
In order to bridge this gap, players in the trade industry say there is a need to streamline trade procedures such as customs clearance to reduce delays and costs for businesses.
Sometimes also the border officials tend to impose measures impunitively, which are sometimes leading to trade barriers. So these are issues that we know they are still being worked on and are being reported at different mechanisms at EAC, and we believe these mechanisms are being adhered to and being implemented.
We also working with other partners and governments to ease these non-tariff trade barriers the youth and women are facing. So while we empower this with access to finance, with knowledge and capacity for them to understand the intricate processes at border crossing.
Additionally, traders are also calling for increased efforts to sensitize border guards to reduce discrepancies in enforcement of regulations.
Lazima tuone kwamba serikali hizi zinashirikiana kwa kuangalia, leo mimi nikipeleka mahindi Sudani, leo nikipeleka mahindi Kenya, ninaweza kufanya biashara nzuri.
You know, the purchasing power of the buyers doesn't change overnight. So then when the currency is changing overnight, is changing frequently, then it's become a challenge into the trade.
East African member states have been urged to harmonize their trade policies in order to facilitate easier cross-border trade across countries. Reporting for Prime Edition, my name is Ndota Mokami.
Thank you, Nduta Mukami, for that story. Now, tucked 26 kilometers from Nairobi city center, the Dandora Wastewater Treatment Plant quietly handles the waste of a rapidly growing capital city as millions of liters of sewage from homes, businesses and industries flow into the facility. This and more on that story.
The treatment process begins at the inlet networks, where raw sewage from Nairobi's trunk sewers is directed into the Dandora Wastewater Treatment Plant. Previously, aging equipment at these inlets frequently broke down, struggling to cope with increasing volumes of waste, but recent upgrades under the Nairobi River Sewerage Improvement Project have improved efficiency. At this physical treatment stage, wastewater passes through coarse, intermediate and fine screens, followed by a dart trap and compactor to remove solid waste and debris like clothes and plastic bags. The water then enters the biological treatment stage through anaerobic ponds where bacteria break down organic matter without oxygen, then into facultative ponds which combine both aerobic and anaerobic processes. Finally, it reaches maturation ponds where sunlight and microbes further purify the water to standards set by the Environmental Management and Coordination Act. This full treatment cycle takes about 55 days, as plant engineer Kamau explains.
60 to 70% of the treatment happens where we are at the anaerobic ponds. There is where we handle reduction of the BOD mostly. And the plant targets to achieve the NEMA stated guidelines of reducing their BOD levels to 30 milligrams per liter.
What is currently being generated is a lot more than we can be able to treat with our plants. That means that we need also to expand our treatment capacity. And the way we are thinking of going about this is also employing technology, not just the pond system, but also we do more mechanical systems because they require a lot less land mass, and we achieve better quality of the effluent at the end of the treatment.
The facility's first phase was commissioned in 1975, comprising Series 1 and 2. A second phase launched in 1985, adding new inlet networks and expanding to Series 3 through 9 to handle the city's growing water load. Currently, only 48% of Nairobi's wastewater is collected and treated. However, ongoing upgrades seek to raise the coverage to 55%. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
Kenya and the U.S. have agreed to expedite negotiations on the Kenya-U.S. Free Trade Agreement, which was initiated during the first Trump administration. This follows Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi holding a high-level bilateral meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State, Senator Marco Rubio, in Washington, D.C. The discussions also centered on regional and continental peace and security, deepening trade and investment ties, and strengthening diplomatic cooperation.
In 2018, President Donald Trump announced that Kenya and the U.S. had started the process of developing a model free trade agreement that was to guide future arrangements between Washington and Africa. Come 2022, the Biden administration reframed the original FTA talks into a strategic trade and investment partnership, prioritizing non-tariff barriers, digital trade and sustainability over reciprocal tariff reductions. Under the arrangement, Kenya was seeking to secure post-2025 market access to the U.S. with the expected expiration of the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA. Whilst the agreement seeks to solidify Kenya's access to the U.S. market, member states signed under the African Continental Free Trade Area and the East African Community, which advocate for collective regional agreements, have criticized Kenya's unilateral push. The ongoing negotiations are part of government strategy to further reduce Kenya's trade imbalance of 1.5 trillion shillings, backed by increased value of total exports. Conversely, U.S. exports to Kenya, including machinery and aircrafts, could expand with reduced non-tariff barriers once the agreement comes into force. Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition.
This will be a session just to discuss about realities of business, poetry, and how to navigate through life.
I'm an entrepreneur. I have a background in banking. Right now, I am a meat distributor, aka a butcher.
Okay.
Because I'm married to a Nigerian man.
Okay. Yeah. Not yet adopted a Nigerian accent.
Imagine. No? The only way I could deal with that death was to drink more, party more. Like it was it was havoc.
It's only the Lord who can change people, and the best thing you can do is perpetually invest in prayer. Now I'm looking at your life and I'm like, oh, this girl got a child in campus and still believed in marriage.
Hapa ni wapi? Ni uwanja wa wafu. Kama nyie mnaeuawa na kutupwa.
Hawezi kutoka paka leo ni mchafu. Hapana. Sasa makosa ya nani? Tabia njema ufunzwa nyumbani. Wewe hii tabia nyingine imetoka wapi?
Kwa nini usinichukie tuende kwako ili nikakupikie wewe? Lazima niseme mzee Mombasa.
Sitaki kusikia upuzi wako.
Nimeshampata niliyekuwa nikimtaka. Lakini hukujua kama nitapoteza macho.
Start responsibility ni ya nani? Ni yako ama ni yangu?
Welcome back. Thika in Kiambu County has some beautiful sites for outdoor events, nature walks and photography. Among them is the Wadi area, which we highlight tonight on Magical Scenes.
As you step into Wadi area in Thika, Kiambu County, you are greeted by a symphony of colors and fragrances. Imagine stepping out in a world where vibrant colors of nature greet you and the air is refreshing. That is the beauty of an outdoor destination. But then in this part of the country, it is not just about the stunning landscapes, but also the experience on offer. The manicured gardens bloom with mostly fruit trees, creating a picturesque setting that feels almost otherworldly. The lush greenery provides a serene backdrop, making it a perfect spot for couples to exchange vows, same for families to gather and celebrate life's milestones.
Wadi is a Kiswahili name meaning a place with a valley. We see we have a valley down here. We're looking at Kilimaboga and 14 Falls. And people coming here enjoy the view, Kilimaboga and 14 Falls. And again, our lawns are very good.
So today morning I woke up and it was the best view that I had in the morning. And as you walk around, I think one thing that I really love about being here is there's so many fruit trees actually everywhere around. As you can see here, we're just standing next to some oranges on the tree and they look so lovely. So I think that's one of the things I really appreciate just being here. And the service has just been really amazing. And I think this area is really a hidden gem. Like the number of different types of trees and the grass. It's really just a serene place. I actually just came here to have a time away to work on this side. So it's been really pleasant and I really enjoyed it.
The backdrop of the majestic Kilimambogo Mountain with its rich history adds a flair to a given photography session.
It's a really beautiful place. You also get to actually experience the sounds of the bird up from the morning. So it's really breathtaking. Whenever I want to just unwind away from the town, from the city, this is my hiding place, and I like to call it my happy place.
There's actually a nature trail. Somebody can go down there and see what you can find there. And there's also a fish pond. You can see fish there, and a garden. And there are gardens, green gardens, where somebody can go and play football.
Just a stone's throw from the Wadi area lies the 14 Falls, a spectacle of nature that further enhances the allure in this part of Kenya. The sound of cascading water creates a soothing ambience, inviting guests to immerse themselves in the tranquility of their surroundings. The falls, with their breathtaking beauty, provide a unique setting for outdoor events, ensuring that each celebration is infused with the essence of nature's artistry.
Basically, our clients, they want to come back to Wadi because Wadi is the place to be.
Well, for those seeking a picturesque destination, one that harmonizes with the wonders of nature, look no further than Thika. Chuma Odim, magical scenes in Thika, the county of Kiambu.
Well, Disney has announced plans to open its first theme park in the Middle East, and the park, which will be in the United Arab Emirates at Abu Dhabi's Yas Island, is a collaboration between Walt Disney and a local leisure and entertainment company. Here are the details of this and other stories in our business roundup.
Disney already has 6 theme parks spanning North America, Europe and Asia. Its most recent opening was in 2016 in Shanghai. Miral is responsible for the development of Yas Island as a tourist destination and already operates SeaWorld and Warner Bros. World, where it is developing a Harry Potter themed park. While announcing the new facility, Disney said that the United Arab Emirates was located within a 4-hour flight of 1/3 of the world's population, making it a significant gateway for tourism. It added that 120 million passengers travel through Abu Dhabi and Dubai every year, making the Emirates the biggest global airline hub in the world. Meanwhile, a large-scale railway strike swept across Portugal as workers of the national railway company Comboios de Portugal walked off the job in protest over pay conditions. The strike has caused widespread train cancellations and major disruptions to passenger travel. At Rosio railway station, a key transport hub in downtown, Lisbon commuters had no trains to board during the morning rush hour due to halted services. The strike was organized by 14 different railway unions and is scheduled to last until May 14th, with its impact expected to intensify in the coming days. Finally, a tea house in Russia's Moscow is introducing locals to centuries-old traditions, offering not only premium brews but also hands-on experiences in tea preparation and ceremony. The tea houses offers 3 floors of cozy tea glades. There are even hammocks built into the floor for relaxing over a nice warm cup of tea. Although Russia has its own tea traditions, drinking it with treats and sweets, many prefer the aesthetics of just the taste of tea leaves. The tea house boasts a collection of different types of tea available for ceremonies or purchase.
Well, let's now change gears. It's time for sports with Karen Kibet.
Mount Savannah, eh? Mount Savannah.
Shule yetu twaipenda ya mlima wa Lavana.
Juhudi tosha ama juhudi wazi za kuyatetea mazingira yetu.
Ina haja gani tuongeze juhudi, sera za serikali na sheria iwapo zipo tayari? Tunachohitaji sasa kufanya ni kutilia mkazo.
Wewe kama mwananchi hauzingatii hizi kwa makini, unatarajia aje hizi mikakati yaweze kuboresha sisi wote?
Geuza sentensi hiyo katika kauli ya kutendeshwa.
Mtoto alinyweshwa maziwa yake.
Makofi mpigie. Sara na Azna ni kioo katika jamii.
Wanaleta maudhui ya upendo katika familia.
Taja nyimbo nyingine katika fasihi.
Kuna nyimbo za sifo,
nyimbo za mapenzi.
Nyimbo za mapenzi, sio?
Yeah.
How long will Kara be detained for?
Like a week or 2.
Perfect. Mambo ya Dani imezimia tu hivyo.
I want us to have a plan.
This time usiniambie tuwe.
I forgive you. You can leave. What if I fail? We will fight.
Do you still have that judge's number?
Are you sure that is the right thing to do?
Please don't tell anyone.
Loyalty can be bought.
And that's why the Jugunas have him.
Have you found Ronald's child?
Ronald will represent Alice, whether he likes it or not.
Where were you all this time?
Let me rejog your mind. Simu zangu ashiki, messages zangu azirudishwi. Ingekuwa wewe, ungefanya nini?
A man is dead.
I'm not exposing anyone to danger.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. My name is Karen Kibet. Let's now take a look at what's making headlines in the world of sports. Now, the Kenya Under-20 national team assistant coach Anthony Ahulia believes that the Rising Stars squad can deliver a continental trophy for the country given a chance. Ahulia said at least 90 or 100% of his squad deserve a place in the senior team Harambee Stars, as they are more than capable of delivering the Africa Cup of Nations title, especially in 2027 when Kenya will be co-hosting the event together with Uganda and Tanzania.
Rising Stars was the only team to score a goal against pre-tournament favourites Nigeria in the group stage of the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations, scoring twice in the 2-2 draw last night, with both Morocco and Tunisia failing to net against them. Rising Stars also managed to score twice against Morocco in their 3-2 defeat and also score once in the 3-1 loss to Tunisia, in addition to scoring twice against Ghana in their friendly match that ended in a 2-2 draw. According to assistant coach Anthony Ahulia, that statistic was impressive for a team that was playing in the Africa Cup of Nations for the first time, and were it not for minor mistakes, Rising Stars would have progressed further than their minimum target of a semi-final place in Egypt.
We really wanted to, even if we are exiting the tournament, we have to do it in a better way. Also winning was really what we really wanted in the match, but we managed to get a draw. The motivation was exiting the tournament in as a better team, not conceding so many goals and not losing all the matches.
Ahulia believes that squad can play and win the Africa Cup of Nations title even in 2027, when Kenya will be co-hosting the continental tournament together with Uganda and Tanzania.
This team has been together for some time now. It's transforming it from the under-18 now to the under-20. I think the future is for most of these players to be promoted to the senior team, if not all.
Ahulia, however, refrained from going into details of his players securing contracts with clubs abroad, but only mentioned that any chance for Kenyan players to play outside the country will grow the standards of the game back home.
To me, it's a rumor. I haven't gotten any confirmation from any, let's say, any team or any agent or so. But again, I think that will be a good thing, right? That will be a good thing if a player from this side, from the under-20 team, is being approached by teams or wanted by the bigger clubs. That's a good thing for our football and for our nation.
Rising Stars finished fourth in Group B with 1 point from 3 matches at the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations in Egypt.
Motivation kubwa sana because one of the match motivation kubwa sana na inaonyesha pia there's something na so lazima tu turudi home let work more na to work harder because si rahisi.
We've seen the type of football the young lads are playing are very commendable. Everything is about also experience. It's about improving where you have gaps, and some of these things take time.
Barclay Feather, Prime Edition Sports.
Moving on, the Kenya Under-17 and Under-19 women's handball teams have both qualified for the semi-finals of the ongoing Zone 5 Africa IHF Trophy at the Old Kampala Sports Arena in Uganda. The Under-17 team qualified for the semi-finals after beating Tanzania 47-26 in their third game of the tournament today morning. The Under-19 women team also secured a semi-final place after defeating Rwanda 33-29 in their third game of the tournament after both sides won their opening two matches yesterday. The semi-finals of the tournament that has attracted 8 countries including Kenya, hosts Uganda, Rwanda, Djibouti, Tanzania and Somalia will be played tomorrow at the same venue. The men's tournaments will be played next year at a venue which is yet to be decided.
Time-out session for Tanzania. Oh, what a nice...
You're welcome to Kampala, where magic happens in handball. This is the IHF Challenge Trophy, the Under-17. She does not use that, the line player, and she has the technique of feinting. She has the technique of going through the defense, but she's not using that.
And the power of actually going and shooting.
Yes.
Trying to see that the shots are taken.
Now, Kenya joined the rest of the world in celebrating the Kids Athletics Day, a global initiative championed by World Athletics to promote sports and physical development among children and young people. The annual event saw more than 5,000 children across the country take part in various athletic activities, from sprints to long jumps, in a colorful display of youthful energy and promise.
Under this year's theme relay around the world, children from several counties gathered for the one-day event that aims to use the power of athletics to build confidence, teamwork and life skills.
The children came in big numbers, and as Athletics Kenya we want to say, since we started this program for kids athletics, we've seen it grow. We have seen big names come, and they are now world beaters.
The theme aligns with the upcoming World Athletics Relays set to take place this year at Guangzhou, China. In Makueni County, over 600 youngsters converged at the Unoa grounds in Wote for their local celebrations. The event was graced by Athletics Kenya CEO Susan Kamau, who stressed the importance of grassroots talent identification and development.
I want to thank the county government of Makueni, and I thank them for hosting us here, and we believe that down the line, 2-3 years, when we look back, we will look and say we have come with a talent from Makueni.
The event also incorporated the environmental twist, with children participating in tree planting to mark the day, a symbolic act that underlines growth, sustainability and a green future, much like the budding athletics dreams they hold.
We saw them in various colors. We had orange, we had purple, we had green. They have competed and they are happy.
The World Kids Athletics Day is held on the 7th of May every year in different parts of the world.
Thank you, Dan, for that report. Now, more than 300 athletes from 20 African countries will be part of the 2025 Giants of Africa Festival, to be held from 26th July to 2nd of August in Kigali, Rwanda. The event will also see more than 20,000 spectators celebrate a week of basketball, community, culture, education and entertainment activities taking place across Kigali Sports City, BK Arena, Amahoro National Stadium and Paralympic Gymnasium. The festival will showcase the full potential of Africa's sports and entertainment ecosystem, highlighting its social and economic value for the next generation and the continent at large. Since 2003, Giants of Africa has empowered youth through basketball, hosting camps and building courts across 20 African countries. And finally, Arsenal's bid to reach the UEFA Champions League final ended last night as they were beaten by PSG 2-1 on a night of drama. Following the win, PSG will now take on Inter Milan in the final slated for 31st May in Germany.
Coutinho's free kick. Partey away on the out as far as Fabian Ruiz. Here's Doué, back to Hakimi. There will be a VAR check. He's given a penalty. Calafiori into Otsa.
And those are all the sports stories we had for you tonight. My name is Karen Kibet. I'll see you tomorrow for Easy Friday. I now hand you back to my colleague, Cynthia Nyamai. Cynthia?
Thank you, Karen. We certainly look forward to tomorrow with Karen on Easy Friday. But for me and the rest of the team, we do want to wish you a very good night.
Say the earth without art would just be get it? We circumnavigate the globe and traverse the local scene to bring you arts and culture at their very best. From fine art, culinary art, performing arts, and even cultural events, you name it, and we have got you covered. My name is Kevin Kasioki, and I will be serving you this and much, much more each and every Friday at 8 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with your music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Hello good people, this is Eva Live. Tunazidi pia celebrate what we have done this year.